Welcome to another edition of TV Africa News. As always, this is Africa Today. My name is Najima Lima, but first are the headlines. BCJ declines expensive bail granted to him by court, opts to go to prison. Vanilla farmers asked to wait for vanilla to mature, then harvest. Gambian government plans to prosecute ex-dictator Jammeh. Kasai Plascon moved to sponsor Ukraine's. Welcome once again, now the news in detail. Four-time presidential candidate and the leader of the People's Front for Transition, Dr. Kizza Besigye, was in an unprecedented act declined the bail that had been granted to him by court for being so expensive. Besigye was on Wednesday afternoon charged for incitement of violence over his recent protests against the skyrocketing commodity prices in the country. We have more. Court presided over by Grade 1 Magistrate Sina Omgisha told Besigye that he is accused of asking the public to join him in protests over the high commodity prices, which tantamount to inciting violence, contrary to Section 51B of the Penal Code Act. The magistrate read from the charge sheet that on May 24th at Arua Park, Mune Village, Shauliako Parish in Kampala Central Division, without lawful excuse at an assembly, Besigye made statements to members of the public indicating all implying that it would be desirable to demonstrate an act which was calculated to lead to destruction or damage to property. When asked about the same, Besigye denied the charges, and in response, the state prosecutor Joan Keko asked for more time to enable investigations be completed. Besigye's lawyers, led by Kampala Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago, later asked court to release his client on bail, and to this he presented two sureties, including former leader of opposition in Parliament Wafula Ogutu and FDC Deputy Secretary General Harold Kaija. The Grade 1 magistrate consequently released Besigye on a $33 million cash bond, whereas each of his two sureties were asked to pay 70 million shillings non-cash for bond. Court was later adjourned to June 13th for mention of the case. In a twist of events, Besigye whispered to his lawyer Elias Lukwago that he would not accept to abide by the bail terms in which he had been asked to pay 30 million shillings cash. According to Lukwago, Besigye opted to go to prison, but tasked his lawyers to appeal against the shillings 30 million cash bond in a higher court. Media company owners have been urged to pay journalists well, as this will help them overcome mental health issues they face while performing their duties. Today, Mindverse organization has held a mental health and media conference at Victoria University to help journalists understand how to deal with mental health issues at work. Nalugo has more.
Journalists attached to various media houses today met at Victoria University to share ideas on how to deal with mental health in line with their duties. They pointed out problems they face while at work that could cause mental health problems.
Interview is being shown, he watches you on television on a daily, you've gone as a journalist, or he is receiving you as somebody, should I say, but he's seeing you as somebody, that he could actually in the bed, have a relationship with. And there are so many women that have actually been carried away by this in the media.
So they normally target people doing photography because some of the security people you see there, I don't know how these machines operate. I normally see them when I go to State House. They tell you they are going to check the cameras, but then you still tell you switch on your camera. But what are you checking that you actually even don't know?
They said journalists need to have trainings to be reminded on how to go about their duties to avoid offending their news sources.
I'm lucky that I've received training from different organizations. currently I work with rotors. They normally train us, and I benefit from both monitor and rotors because they give you training how you can survive in harsh conditions. But there are journalists who are in this field, they have never received any training. They are covering harsh stories. They don't know how to deal with people who are following you.
To avoid mental health problems, media owners have been urged to pay their employees well, and journalists advised to always take a break off their work.
But one of the things is taking a break. You can take a break and then someone always covers. When you're new to the newsroom, don't post things. There's that tendency of people posting things. I've seen people they also want to go to the riots. First know the dynamics. How do you survive in such situations? Let newsrooms come out and start training people.
Mental health refers to cognitive, behavioral, and emotional well-being. It is all about how people think, feel, and behave. People sometimes use the term mental health to mean the absence of a mental disorder. Mental health can affect daily living, relationships, and physical health. Factors in people's lives, interpersonal connections, and physical factors can all contribute to mental health disruptions.
As a way of promoting trade and international market for vanilla, the State Minister for Agriculture, Honorable Fred Bueno Chakulaga, has urged farmers to grow quality vanilla. This, the minister said while launching the maturity dates for harvesting vanilla in Uganda. Humuza has more.
Vanilla is one of the high-value crops grown in over 25 districts of Uganda, mainly in central, eastern and western regions. The crop is a spice used to add flavor to food, beverages, cosmetics, and can also be used in pharmaceutical industries, and this has been proved to be sustainable and profitable to farmers. However, for farmers to benefit from it, the State Minister for Agriculture Fred Bueno Chakulaga has announced procedures including the maturity dates farmers should follow before harvesting and when to harvest vanilla.
I hereby declare that the appropriate vanilla harvest date for the first season of the year 2022 shall be the 7th of July 2022 onwards. We have done research across the country and established that it is the 7th of July of this year that will be the 9 months for the first people to pollinate their vanilla.
Bueno says the poor farming methods used by farmers in Uganda have killed its market, thus calling upon all stakeholders to come together and monitor the farmers.
Vanilla quality is compromised by immature vanilla harvesting. It is also compromised by poor handling, poor processing, and poor storage. Low vanilla quality is resented by the international vanilla buyers. Any poor quality is hated by our consumers out there. This affects all the stakeholders along the entire value chain, the farmers, the processors, and Uganda as a nation. I specifically call upon the agricultural police in collaboration with the private sector to popularize this harvest date and to hunt down and expose all culprits who do not respect the date. I want to take this platform to warn those crop inspectors at the exit point that allow immature vanilla beans to be exported contrary to their mandate to stop that practice forthwith.
It's from this backdrop that he urged all vanilla farmers to pick ripe and ready vanillas, in addition to warning exporters of vanilla not to export young beans to avoid the consequences.
Let's take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, The Right to Know. The Gambian government said on Wednesday that it will prosecute former dictator Yahya Jammeh for murder, rape, torture, and other alleged crimes committed under his more than 20-year rule. Jammeh is living in exile in Equatorial Guinea, which has no extradition treaty with the Gambia.
The Ministry of Justice said that it accepted all but 2 of the 265 recommendations made by a commission that probed alleged crimes committed by the state under the despotic former leader from July 1994 to January 2017. The government said it would prosecute all 70 alleged perpetrators named in the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission's twice-delayed report, including former Vice President Issa Tunji Saidi and members of the so-called Junglers Hit Squad. The government wrote in a white paper that for 22 years, Yahya Jammeh ruled Gambia with an iron fist, a decision which Abdul Fattah, a former local legal consultant for the commission, called unprecedented. The government said it was developing a prosecution strategy and would set up a special court located within the Gambia with the option of holding sittings in other countries. The Truth Commission had recommended prosecuting Jammeh and his accomplices in an internationalized tribunal in another West African country. The Truth Commission found that 240 to 250 people, including AFP journalist Deida Haidara, were killed by the state during the eccentric ex-leader's rule. Jammeh was forced into exile in early 2017 after his shock electoral defeat to current President Adama Barrow and a 6-week crisis that led to military intervention by other West African states.
Moving on, energy companies may return to Mozambique following the improvement of security conditions in Cabo Delgado. The fossil fuel project has been blamed for stoking the insurgency in the north of the country, which has left thousands of people dead and displaced hundreds of thousands. The poverty-stricken northern province had been suffering increasingly violent attacks by Islamic State-affiliated insurgents since 2017, many targeting towns and communities near the $20 billion US gas export terminal, which is backed by major international investors and companies. Despite the military advances, the head of the Southern African Development Community Mission in Mozambique, for Molemo, said it was too early to declare the end of terrorism in Cabo Delgado. According to Molemo, attacks and atrocities against women and children are continuing in the forests where they are hiding. In addition to the SADC, the government in Maputo has the support of a military contingent from Rwanda. For Jose de Oliveira, a researcher for energy affairs at the Catholic University of Angola, the conditions are beginning to be made for the return of multinational companies to Cabo Delgado. With the energy crisis caused by Russia's war in Ukraine, Europe is looking to Africa for alternative sources of liquefied natural gas. On May 19th, the Mozambican parliament approved the law to reprehend, combat, and prevent terrorism. Away from that, Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema has announced he's making moves to abolish the death penalty in the country. He termed it a big decision by the government.
To mark Africa Freedom Day, the Zambian president has pardoned 2,045 inmates, including 2,012 ordinary inmates and 33 elderly inmates. He also commuted sentences for 607 inmates. The president said that they will work with parliament to run this process as they transition away from the death penalty and focus on the preservation and rehabilitation of life while still delivering justice for all. He added that Africa Freedom Day is a symbol of everyone's collective commitment to secure a better future for all. Though Zambia has had the death penalty law, no executions have taken place since the late 90s. The government will now work with the parliament to transition from the death penalty to focusing on preserving and rehabilitating life while still delivering justice. According to Ambrose Lifuna, the acting Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, the government has started addressing the problem of congestion in correctional facilities. This includes various means such as advocating for community sentencing for minor offenses.
Nigeria's anti-graft agency on Tuesday arrested Senator Rochas Okorocha in Abuja. The presidential aspirant of the ruling APC party is accused of diverting 2.9 billion naira of public funds and properties. Senator Rochas Okorocha has previously denied the accusations, yet the EFCC filed a 17-count criminal charge against Okorocha last January. Supporters of the former governor of the southeastern state of Imo suspect the jailing of their candidate is politically motivated. The anti-corruption body has, however, rejected those claims. In a statement, the EFCC head of media and publicity said previous attempts to arraign Senator Okorocha were stalled owing to his absence. The commission argued it had been left with no other choice than jailing the 59-year-old in order to bring him to trial. The imprisonment of Rochas Okorocha comes ahead of the APC party presidential primaries. On May 29th and 30th, the All Progressive Congress Party will pick its nominee for the 2023 presidential race. Let's once again take a quick break. We will be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching TV Africa News, the right to know. In our business news today, a subsidiary of Swiss-based mining giant Glencore pleaded guilty to 7 counts of bribery in a London court on Tuesday. The firm will pay up to $1.5 billion after other subsidiaries pleaded guilty to bribe in Brazil and the US.
The United States Department of Justice said on May 24th that the natural resource firm had entered a plea agreement to foreign bribery and market manipulation schemes. Speaking to the media, U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said that Glencore has agreed to pay approximately $700 million in penalties for its decade-long scheme to bribe foreign officials in 7 different countries. According to the British Serious Fraud Office, company agents and employees pay bribes worth $25 million for preferential access to oil in Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, and South Sudan, all with Glencore's approval between 2011 and 2016. U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Damian Williams, presented some of the findings of the American probe, indicating that Glencore paid over $100 million in bribes to government officials in Brazil, Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Venezuela. In 2018, the U.S. Department of Justice launched an investigation into Glencore's compliance with American money laundering and corruption laws dating back as far as 2007. It concerned the mining giant's operations in Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Venezuela. The UK's Serious Fraud Office followed suit in 2019, investigating one of Glencore's UK subsidiaries over suspicions of bribery in Africa. The firm will find how much it must pay in fines at a sentencing in June. It has also settled Brazilian bribery charges against it, but said Dutch and Swiss investigations remained ongoing.
In our health news today, the bodies of 4 miners have been found in a zinc mine in Burkina Faso after a 39-day search. 8 miners were trapped by floodwaters last month in the Canadian-owned mine in Pecor, located about 120 kilometers west of the country's capital, Ouagadougou.
The floods followed unexpected torrential rains on 16 April. Since then, rescuers have worked tirelessly to pump some 165 million liters of water from the flooded chambers. It took the rescue team 31 days to reach the first rescue chamber, located about 560 m, in which the missing miners might have sought rescue from the flood waters. But when the chamber was opened last week, none of the men, 6 Burkinabes, a Zambian, and a Tanzanian were there. A second chamber is located right at the bottom of the 710M mine. In a statement, the government sent its condolences to the families of the civilians and the local communities. Such operations are continuing to find the other 4 missing miners.
And in sports, paint guru Kasai Plascon has continued its praise-worthy surge in sports investment with netball, the latest beneficiary. Plascon has announced a sponsorship package worth 70 million shillings to aid in the children's preparation for the Commonwealth Games and other activities in the year. Ahumuza has more.
Plascon Managing Director Santos Gamute noted that, unlike other sponsorships, the partnership with Netball is a platform to specifically empower women in sports. Uganda Netball Federation, currently preparing for a nationwide tour, will receive 50 million shillings in cash, while the remainder will be invested in marketing and branding the sport to extend both its appeal and reach, with the goal of attracting other corporate sponsors. Netball Federation President Sarah Babiria Chitio noted that gender equality is a major development indicator in any country today, but also acknowledged that women everywhere, especially in sports, need to stand up to be counted. Babiria added that they are all familiar with the saying that he that educates a woman educates a village, a saying which rings true in sports as well. She said that the skills imparted are not limited to sports, but in fact they are life lessons. Kansai Plascon's commitment to sports in the country has seen them announce partnerships with Cricket Cranes, Arua Hill, Uganda Cup, and Vipers Sports Club.
That was the news. Thank you for always keeping it TV Africa.